Hey, 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 good morning, go-getters. It's Cammie. How are you guys doing this morning? I am so excited about what we're going to do today. I have a guest. I have a guest, guys. It's not just me this morning. So I'm really excited about that. Um, Jamie Trull is the Balance CFO, and she is awesome with this. So she's great with understanding finances and how to put them together for your business specifically. So she is. I'm bring her. I'm going to bring her in just a second, just to start talking to you. But in the last week or so, she came out with this really great business survival guide. COVID-19 small business survival guide that is awesome for those of you, especially like right now. I mean, we're right in tax season, and I know we got a huge party relief on that. We don't have to do it until July 15th, but right now is the time to get your finances together. And if you're doing well, to buckle in and get ready for the next 6 to 8 months. And if you aren't doing well, you can do well. There's things you can do to kind of get you there. So I'm going to bring Jamie in. Hold on, I'm going to get her switched in here, and we're going to talk to you about her survival guide for doing that and how you can start making your business do great for the next 6 to 8 months. So thrive, don't just survive, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Cammie, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing, Jamie? Tell my audience a little bit about yourself, where you're at. We usually say, where are you at? So go ahead and tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie Trull. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I have a completely virtual business now. It didn't used to be. I actually was a virtual CFO for several different women-owned businesses, both locally and in other places. And now I've really transitioned my business to be more online financial literacy coaching and profit strategy, basically. So I do online courses and all of that kind of thing. So the online world, I'm kind of glad right now.
It was a really, really good choice, wasn't it?
A good shift to make. Now I still have some local clients as well, but it is nice to have at least a little bit of familiarity with the online world. Now, still, even everything is different for me. So I'm still also having to think about how to pivot in this kind of world. But it is nice to have at least, a little bit of familiarity with it, right?
Right. And explain to our the people that are kind of starting to, hi, and I'm going to say hi to a couple of them. So, hey, Walter. Hi, Roy. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So tell them a little bit about what a CFO, like, especially one that isn't working in a company. So it's a chief financial officer. So what do they do exactly?
Yeah. So it's all the financial strategy. So people are probably familiar to what a bookkeeper does, maybe even what an accountant does, right? And the taxes element. But the CFO
I have one of those, but I have one of those, but you're my CFO.
Yeah. That's what I basically I fraction myself out to various different companies that probably aren't at a place where it makes sense to hire a full-time CFO for a couple $100,000 a year, right? That doesn't make sense for most small businesses, but that doesn't mean that they don't need help with the financial side of their business. So that was really what the impetus was for me for starting my business. I'm a CPA by trade. I worked for Coca-Cola for 10 years and worked with them in strategy and financial reporting and technical accounting and all of those things, that all the number stuff that nobody likes.
You're awesome though. Yeah.
So I go into companies and I help them with the numbers that they don't like and how to read them and how to make strategic decisions based on them. Basically.
Yeah, I love your passion for the numbers. Honestly, you have so much passion. So let me tell them a little bit about how I came to know you. Yeah. So both Jamie and I were taking Amy Porterfield's course. I think is how we kind of first ran across each other, which is a online course about making online courses. It's an awesome course. Digital Course Academy, DCA. Yes. And then Jamie also got featured on like Amy's podcast, which was like amazing for you. I'm really, really happy that happened for you. And that really kind of kicked off. Well, really, you'd already kicked off your group. Your group was really strong and growing. And then that just kind of put like a supercharged power onto it.
It did, yeah.
I think that's really cool to see how stages like that can really do that. But I jumped into your group at that time. I remember doing that and just immediately thought, wow, this is stuff I could really use. And I've had, been in business a really long time, longer than your average probably person that you're aiming at. I think women that are kind of, smaller business or whatever.
It really ranges. Yeah. But it does range for sure.
And then maybe I'm a little bigger too. So I have like a staff, I have, we are 7. So, hey guys, thank you. Awesome. So it's awesome. But what I found is that you are so practical in your advice. So I just want to jump right into the advice
Yeah.
in your survival guide here. And you had things that you should do, and you had things that you
Mhm.
shouldn't do. So we're going to start with the things that you should do, because I think that's maybe the most important right now. So the first one, and you've kind of preached on this a lot. I'm in her group, so I hear it a
Love
lot.
it.
So cut down unnecessary expenses. So why? Like, don't you, isn't it when the stock market's down, you're supposed to buy, buy, buy?
I think that's what people think. Now, from the stock market perspective, if you've got extra cash, personally, maybe, but things are a little rocky right now. So I don't even know if I'd recommend that. Um, so the reason that I always start here too with expenses is because I think it's exponential, right? So if you have expenses, and literally, like I said, I've worked as a virtual CFO. I've gone into every company that I've worked for, and I have found expenses they didn't even know they were paying for or didn't know what they were, right? So, and it's not that, people are irresponsible. It's just that there's so much going on when you're a business owner. And there are so many things that now have transitioned to kind of this business model of being ongoing subscription-based type things, that sometimes we sign up for them and we use them for a while and then maybe we don't, or maybe the usage that we were doing changes and we haven't looked back to see if we still need that level of subscription, whatever it is. So I that's always where I start, because right now we're sitting in a place, and I'm not a panicker, but things are changing and we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty and we have no idea what is we may come out of this in a couple of weeks and things go weirdly back to normal, but I doubt it, right? Some of this will be long-term effects that we will have. So we need to start thinking about what we do now to preserve. And right now, cash is the most important thing. Right now, having cash could be the difference between you thriving and you surviving and you not surviving, right? Like, cash is what is going to get you through this. And it's the businesses that have that huge, just like set aside cash that are going to be able to make it through. Now, if you don't have that, a lot of small businesses don't, right? We don't often run with tons of piles of cash like some of these big businesses do, right? So what do we do? So the first thing we have to do is start conserving. Like, today, literally today. And this is the one I think people avoid the most because they don't want to know, right? They don't want to know, but there's power in knowing. There's power in knowing, how much are your typical monthly expenses that you cannot stop, right? That have to continue to go if your business is going to keep going. What is that number? Do you know what it is? And I think that that's something that a lot of businesses just, they don't, spend a lot of time staring at it until they have to. And let me tell you, even if you haven't reached that point in this whole thing where you feel like you have to, you should.
Yeah, like do it before you have to.
Yeah,
especially since there's a lot of waste in it. Sometimes that it's not even like you have to deprive yourself of stuff. Sometimes
right.
It's just that you have to like cut the waste, which I love that about what you've said to me, because I mean, that does happen to me. I've seen a subscription turn on and then be like, what is that? I mean, so I think that sitting down with them, and looking at them. So how do you kind of give us an idea of the things that we have to look at?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things. I mean, I think the first ones are those recurring things to make sure we know what they are. So I am always a proponent of just like a literal sit down and look at your bank statement, because I think it's it's even easier to understand than going into your QuickBooks. Now, if you're comfortable with that, go ahead, go, in there like crazy. But if you're not, print out your bank statement, your business bank statement. This is also something you should be doing personally as well, right? So let's talk about two sides of the coin. Conserving cash on all fronts is important right now, right? So just go through and make sure, if you see things you don't know what they are, that's the first thing you need to look at, right?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of time right now, so we can go through them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, just go. I mean, and I know that sounds awful. That sounds like something, but I mean, the options are, for me, like hanging out with my toddler for multiple hours a day. So I think I'll take my bank statement, and the thing is, it'll also like, if the quicker you start, right? If you wait a week, that's now another week of costs you didn't have to have, right? And a lot of businesses right now, so if you haven't looked into this, specifically, like if you have software that you're using, anything like that, so many of those that are subscription-based are offering relief right now because they're trying to get people from jumping off. So they're either offering like you can
That's a
pause
good
your
one.
subscription.
Yeah.
And usually that's true with anybody. You can pause your subscription when you're not using it. But now they're letting you like not even pause your subscription, but not pay for 3 months. A lot of times all you have to do is go chat with them on, or even search. A lot of them even have policies that are on their website now that you can just say, I need to use this, and it's kind of like that. Okay, don't leave us. We're going to give you this for free for, 60 days. But people, they're only going to do it if you ask. They're not just going to give it to you. So you have to spend the time to go out there and see what you can do, right?
Well, I know that there's some apps and services who've done this all along, and then they charge you a bit of it. So like, this is the time to do it yourself.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. I pause subscriptions all the time. So especially like online course creation, right? Like I have a webinar software. I use it twice a year. I don't need to pay, $100 a month for that webinar software. There are a lot of people who are still paying that and not using it and not realizing you can pause it for $10 and not lose any of your information, right? So think about that. Think about, it may not be a huge deal most of the time, but right now when we're in a period where we need to be conserving cash, just look at all of those expenses and take some time to do it because it's going to be the best use of your time right now. And there are other things I think that, obviously travel costs are going down, right? That's probably not one you have to try too hard on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even like little things, even personally, like utilities and telephone bills and, all that kind of thing. Right now for your business is probably not the best time to be like, unless you have a bunch of cash, unless you're like, this is my opportunity. I've got all this cash I'm sitting on. I'm going to do these huge ad campaigns, that kind of thing. But it's probably not the time to be doing like major cash heavy investments of any kind that are not proven, right? Like this is probably not the time to go buying up a ton of inventory. I know we feel like there's not going to be enough. And so people are scared. And so they think they need to go buy inventory. But if people don't buy, then you're spending a bunch of cash and now you just have a bunch of inventory you're not selling, So it's just cash conservation. I cannot harp on it enough. Now, when you do need to buy something, buy from a small business because we have to support each other. We have to keep each other going. There has to be an economy of some sort.
Walter
right?
says lean and mean. See that? So
Oh, this is cool. I can see his comment.
Yeah.
The leaner you are, the better able you will be to be nimble and to be able to kind of just shift where the wind goes, right? When you don't have a whole bunch of operating expenses that you're sitting on that you can't do much about. So spend the time right now. I'm going to tell you, it will be worth it. Even if we go back to life as usual in 2 weeks and it's like this never happened, which again, I doubt, even if you'll be better for it. So why not do it now? Right?
No, and you might find stuff out too. Like this happened a couple months ago, probably when I was going through this with you at first, because we were going through this, I don't know, a while back. So I'm also part of Jamie's course because she's awesome enough that as soon as she did it, I like signed up immediately. So I don't know, might have been the first one. I was very fast to sign up.
You were close. Yeah, I think you were.
I was I'm like, let's do this anyway. One of the things I did was I called our cable company and I was talking with them and I realized I was on an old plan and I got more bandwidth for less money.
Yep.
Just by calling them up.
Yep. That's all. And we avoid it for how long? And then when we do it, oftentimes we're like, oh, wait a second. So I've been paying an extra $100 a month. I didn't need to, it's just and it's little things, but over time they add up. And we avoid them because we avoid finances in general, but we definitely avoid finances when it comes to calling up a cable company because who wants to do that? And they bank on that, by the way. They bank on the fact that nobody wants to call them up and, do that. But absolutely, just get creative because that stuff will add up over time and it will be so worth it.
So then you get your you end up with your must-have expenses, like the ones you have to have. So what your operating expenses are per month, which I think is something most small business owners don't really have a good handle. I know I didn't have part of the reason I joined your course is because I felt like I didn't have a good handle on that, even though I have a bookkeeper, even though I have a CPA. I still felt like I was sort of out of touch with my books, if that makes any sense to you. Because I hadn't really been in like QuickBooks or anything in years because somebody else does it for me. So that was kind of interesting.
I think that's really common too, especially with people with bookkeepers. And I do advocate for people having bookkeepers because I don't think that as a business owner, if you can afford it, right? I don't think as a business owner, it makes sense usually for your time to be spent on specifically when I say bookkeeping tasks, those are kind of those rote tasks, right? Like that, invoicing, categorizing expenses, reconciling, you guys don't need to be doing that. You're probably, have a higher and best use somewhere else. But that said, that does sometimes make us, pull away a little bit from what's going on. Things we might notice if we were in the numbers really detailed, we don't notice because we're not necessarily spending time looking at it, and we're getting reports that may or may not make sense, with how we view our business. And so that's where I think sometimes I just think sometimes it's easier to jump into your bank statement and say, okay, what's going on, right? Because then you don't have to worry about the funny money in accounting of like, well, wait a second, why doesn't this profit match what's in my bank account? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's always what caught me. It's like, I don't know what this is. And I always felt like I wanted to forecast. Like, that's the other thing. I wanted to be able to make financial decisions. And it's hard to make them if you don't really have an idea of exactly what your going forward operating expenses month to month are.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I think that is so critical. And Cammie, in the course I talk about direct versus indirect costs, and there are some differences. But right now, I think the thing we need to most focus on are kind of those indirect costs, because direct costs kind of move around with when you sell something, you're going to have greater cost. And not to say there isn't work that can be done there too, but when we're in a period of crisis, it's those indirect costs, those operating costs that are not necessarily specifically contributing to revenue. Now, you probably have to have them to have any revenue, but there's not like that one-to-one relationship. Those are the costs we have to know. Like, what are those operating costs? If I didn't sell a thing, if literally, and not to say, again, not to panic, but like, you got to prepare. If you don't sell a thing, depending on your industry, right? If you don't sell a thing for the next 6 months, what happens? Can you survive it? Do you have the cash? Do you know how much money you're going to have to spend just to keep your business? Do you know how much to
save to have on hand? So I've always intuitively done that anyway. So since the beginning of the business, I'll just dump stuff I have a savings account that's beside my business account. And I just dump stuff in there, but like not on any schedule or any, I don't know. It was intuitive. I just kept throwing stuff in there. And I do have some great cash reserves, I always have, but I love the formula that you have here in this awesome thing, which by the way, I'll share the link here in just a minute, guys, so you guys can get this. It's a free resource that Jamie so amazingly put together. I definitely say download it and like fill it out. It's a really great, and she has little lines and tells you exactly what to do. You're so good like that.
Easy, right? Like
she does.
I want it to be easy where it just you know exactly what you need to do, right? Like step by step, because I think that's where we all are. We're like, oh my gosh, so much information. And now there's even more content coming out. And I think that's all great, but it's almost like this like swirling of like, but what do I do though? Right? Like what do I actually do like right now? What do I need to do?
Exactly. Right? Because I'm going to tell you, even though I feel like I'm really excited about this transition, it's amazing. Yesterday, I sat just sort of spinning my wheels all day. I was just overwhelmed. I guess it was my kid's first day of homeschool, which oh my gosh, I've got one in each. So I've got one in elementary, one in middle, one in high school. So I know lots of things are going at you. But I had like literally, I didn't go and count them, but probably about 50 emails from different teachers, because all my kids have like different teachers. And their one thing yesterday was signs of life, like they were supposed to find out that the kids are out there. But if you have 8 teachers, that's like one email each teacher, 3 kids. Well, the elementary has 3 teachers. I'm just saying it was a lot. It was overwhelming.
We've gotten 0 emails from our teachers at all.
Wow.
So they're just so then I'm just like, okay, well now I'm just going to hit the internet and figure out what I need to be doing with my children.
That scholastic thing is really good. The scholastic thing is really good. Anyway, so we didn't want to devolve into like that, but we are women with kids. So guys,
business is, and that's the thing right now, we're dealing with so many different things that it is hard to focus. And I know like people keep saying we have so much time, and I actually feel like I feel like I don't have enough time for anything. I feel like I don't have enough time to dedicate to my kids the way I want to, my business, like Lord knows, I'm in and out for 5 minutes at a time. It's hard to actually carve out like specific time to sit down and do anything substantial. Right. So I think we're just in this world where we have weird time, but exactly. But we're also like, what do we need to be doing? So that's why I just wanted to have a guide that was like, this is what you just do this, do this, and it will help.
Awesome. And so then, the other thing that I think you talk about in here that's really important, so get your finances in order, but also thinking about your ideal client and how you can serve them right now. I've been thinking about that. That's why I've been doing these lives on a daily. I just want to show up for you guys so that we can do this all together. I help my clients to build their online community. So that's really
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. And right now is a really, really good time to build your online community, to have some goodwill with people. So I love that you have that in here too. It's like, hey, consider what your ideal client is feeling. So I don't know, how have you figured that out? Like, what if, I mean, I'm sure this is huge for you because money, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, and the big thing is listening, right? Asking and listening. Like if you
Mhm.
don't know, if you're not sure, because the thing is we often have our own business model and this is business as usual, right? And right now, I mean, some people may want business as usual, but right now I found with the people in my groups, it was kind of like we need help to navigate what's going on. So for example, there's a lot happening just even in like regulatory and relief efforts that are going on in different governments, and people are like, I don't even know what does this mean for me as a small business? What do I do with this? Tax returns being extended, that one's pretty easy to understand, but then we've got these paid family leave, like, okay, I have employees, how do I handle this? So I'm doing a live tomorrow in my group to handle that. So I'm just listening for what questions people are asking. And then I'm not an expert in it, but I'm going to go research it and figure it out and understand it and then try to explain it, right? That's what I can do right
Yeah,
now.
no, it's great. And I actually, corporation service company is a business that files your franchise taxes and in all the
Yeah.
states and stuff. And so I actually there I have my businesses out of, it was formed in Delaware because it was formed with
Yeah.
partners. So we formed it out of Delaware, so it would be in one place. And so CSC is our agent in Delaware. Anyway,
Yeah.
they just sent me a really cool resource, which was like every single state and where they are. Like, are they open? Are they closed? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually keeping that up. So
Yeah.
I always advocate for finding out what your superpower is and then applying your superpower into the world. So like,
Yeah.
like this guide. I mean, this is your
Yeah.
superpower, Jamie. This is it. I can tell you
Yeah.
that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think it is. It's just listening to your audience. What are the challenges that they're having? Because I think sometimes what we tend to do, and this is just normal, right? This is normal. We are normal humans. But in a period of crisis, the first thing we think is like, okay, how is this going to affect me? What do I, how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my business? How am I going to pay the bills? And and that's fine. That's fine. That's normal. But we have to start shifting to like, okay, how do I think about what the people I'm trying to serve, what do they need? And if you do that, and you can do it, I mean, a lot of people are offering things for free. A lot of people are building like lists and things like that. I think it's a great time to do that as an online business builder. But I think there's some fear also around selling that like, oh, we
Yeah.
can't sell something. And I don't think that's true at all. I think if you are offering a solution to a problem, and a great example is yesterday, I saw on our like neighborhood Facebook page, somebody who actually owns a bakery. Their bakery is closed. So she was like, I made these like cookie kits that you can, make with your kids, where it gives you the
Smart.
cookie and then all the decorating supplies that you can make with your kids. They were gone. She had 15 of them. She sold them for $15. They were gone in literally 15 minutes. I mean, it was crazy how many people wanted it, and she's got a waiting list. Now, if she had thought, well, I'm just going to sell my cookies, right? It wouldn't have gotten that response. But she was thinking about the fact that there's a bunch of moms at home looking for things to do with their kids, looking for something productive that is not an iPad. And so she adjusted, okay, that's not normally what I do, but I'm going to make these kits because that's what people want right now. And she was able to sell them for more than she probably would from a profit margin perspective if she was just selling cookies, right? So I just think the creativity of thinking about what are the struggles your client is having and how do I adapt what I am doing, either selling or giving away. Either, don't be afraid to sell. If you're solving a problem for somebody, people will buy. Not everybody doesn't have money, okay? Like that, we need to get that out of our heads. People will still buy if you have a solution to their problem. Lord knows Amazon has been in my house every single day this week.
Oh yeah. I mean, these poor guys, they like, it's like, they think
Like,
it's
I
like
feel bad, but I'm
Christmas.
like, I
It's
need more
Christmas level.
workbooks. I
Yeah.
need like games, puzzles. Like, I mean, I'm buying out Amazon for things for my kids to do. So
Absolutely.
it's okay to sell. It's okay to sell.
But you
just
need
make
to
sure
sell,
you're solving a
you need to
problem.
sell something that's relevant. So
Yes.
I love what you say
Yes.
about the cookies, because actually this little painting studio that's near us did that too. It's called Paint Till You Faint. You go and you paint those little ceramic things
Oh, yeah.
and stuff. So they actually put together kits like that too. So like, here's our kits. You come pick them up on the sidewalk.
Genius. It's genius.
drive by.
There's a toy store near us that is the super cute, like the cutest little toy store. They're delivering toys right now. They're actually like, they're FaceTiming with people walking around the store. Like, I mean, because they don't have they're not set up for online sales. So they just figured it out. Right. And so I think that's something that is really critical. It's just like, get creative. I think people often, we like stifle our own ideas before we even let them come out, before we even like, we just think of all the reasons why not. We're like, oh, what does that mean for insurance? And how do, and we just like push them down before we even put them on a piece of paper.
I'm going to be honest too. Like a lot of people also assume that nobody has any money at this point. I think that that's not true. I mean, actually, there's a lot of pent up demand, if you will, back in your house of, people that are employed, and they probably are going to be employed beyond this. There's definitely people that are in trouble. There's no doubt about that. So you don't want to like, bankrupt somebody like by asking them to like buy something of yours. But if you're solving a specific problem and you're helping people out, I don't see the problem in doing it. And the people who can will right now, and the ones who can't will pass up on it until they can, I think.
And we need that. We need an economy.
Yeah.
We have to have an economy. If we all just say we're not going to buy anything and give everything away for free, we don't have an economy anymore. And then that has way bigger impact than anything else. And small businesses are economy.
And despite our cost cutting at the beginning, we are cost cutting, but buy the things you need. Don't not buy the things you need. I think we're getting close to the avoid these things. So now we're down to avoid these things. Oh my gosh, you've done great. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, and you also said, consider using this time to work on business development projects you've put off. Oh, that is so good. That is so good.
So if you are in that space where, first I want you to try to adapt that business model, try to keep money flowing in, because I think sometimes we err towards, we're just going to put everything on pause when really there are things that we can do to continue to bring money in. But we can also use this time to work on different business development things. I'm updating my website. I've been meaning to do that for eternity. My website is all my old CFO business. It's not my online business. It doesn't represent me anymore. And so I need to make that shift. And so I'm like, okay, that's a project that I'm putting on I need to get this done now, we're home.
Exactly.
I can do that in 5-minute increments between my kids bugging me, so I'm going to do it. So think about anything business development wise that you can do that will better prepare you for what happens in the future, right? Are there projects, things you've been avoiding?
I actually have been thinking about that too, because I had planned on launching Smart Social Secrets, my course, on May 4th. That was my date. I think we're moving it up. We're moving it up by a couple of weeks, because right now, for people to be able to get their social media in order and be able to have a strong messaging and all the things that they need in order to be seen in the marketplace right now, that's really, really critical for the people that I serve right now, I think. And so we're gonna launch it in a couple of weeks. We're gonna die launching it in a couple of weeks. We're gonna do it.
I'm so I love that so much, because so many people would have ended that when you said we were supposed to launch it on May 4th. Many people would have been like, so we're going to move it till August. They're like, we're not going to. No, you have something like it may pivot, this may pivot your messaging and how you sell it, right? Sure. Like if I were to sell my financial fitness formula course right now, that messaging would be pivoted around what it is and what it can do. And honestly, I'd probably pivot some of even what's in it
the
to
content,
be more,
absolutely,
more like, okay, here's what you need to do right this second, right now. But that's the thing. If we can just be fluid, don't sell something that's not relevant. But if you have something relevant that you can market to people who have a problem right now, this is the time to sell it. It really is.
Right. And we're going to get that out in the next couple of weeks. But I'm not even going to wait too much longer than next week or the week after, because what we're going to do is go ahead and open up the Facebook group that's going to go with it. And that's just going to open up immediately. So as you join, you're going to be able to come in there, and we're going to be having, we're going to be 100% dialed into those people to make sure that they're winning in this environment.
And I do think that this is a time frame where it is about, finding those resources that make sense, finding that community that makes sense, because we all need community. We all need something to focus on right now, right? So pick those. And like I said, we need to focus on expenses. But if this is something, if you can purchase something that will help you with your business in the long run and will help you adapt to the situation and will help you with things that you need to be working on right now, that doesn't mean, you can't spend any money ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just need to be judicious about the things that we're spending money on.
Yeah. You said, you can invest in a great course. That's one of the things that you can do right now. Yeah.
Always.
So avoid these 3 things. You have 3 things here that we should avoid. And we're kind of running out of time. So what are those?
We'll go through them quick. Okay. Don't panic. Okay. Don't be hasty. Don't make crazy decisions. That doesn't mean don't prepare. Preparing is really important. Preparing as a business owner, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. And you have to have a plan for multiple different potential scenarios that could happen, right? So what does that look like? So don't panic, prepare. I'll go through them quickly. 2.
Okay, you're good.
Don't take on significant debt. That is one I feel really strongly about, because I think right now, and I'm specifically meaning really, like, I know a lot of people that will try to get through this time based on credit cards, right? Like, rather than getting real tight with the money that they're spending and real intentional about their money, they will just try to survive by kind of biding their time on credit cards, i.e. stealing from their future self, which is what credit cards do. They take money you haven't earned yet, and they steal it. So don't do that. Don't do that. There are some programs out there if you have to, right? If this is just like, this is going to shut our doors otherwise, there are programs out there. There are grant programs. Look at those first. They're hard to get, but some even states and things like that are offering new grant programs too. And I think there will be more that will roll out. Facebook's doing 100 million grants. There are grants out there, meaning, i.e., like, that's money you get to keep. There are like SBA, the Small Business Association, is doing loans as well for lower interest rates. So, and again, some states are even doing that as well at 0 interest rates. So if that is something you have to do, and you think you may absolutely need it, I would, however, apply for that now, because it's going to be a waiting list, but you have to have your finances in order for them to approve you. So know that, right? I think that's another reason that you got to know they're going to want to see those projections. They're going to want to see how much money you're spending and on what, right? So you have to get that in order if you want to be eligible for one of those. But really, really try at all costs to survive off of the cash that you have. Okay. I think so many people are going to add debt on right now during this that they're going to be under for years. And it worries me for people, and just that doesn't help the stress of the situation. So I'm generally anti-debt overall.
Yes, you are. Yeah. You're a Ramsey girl.
I am. I just, and I'm not, I'm like 80% all the way to Dave Ramsey. I think that there can be in business specifically some reason for reasonable debt, but I think right now, stress debt is not a good debt to have. Debt for payroll is not a good debt to be taking on, right? Like, it's scary.
It's scary because you don't know where you're going to get it back. I mean,
you don't know.
Being a gal over here who does payroll, I will just be honest with you. My payroll is directly tied to revenues. So if we have to reduce, we do, but I never seem to have to, but it's you never know when you're going to have to.
Yeah,
there was one time I did. There was one time I did have to, and it was really hard. And it was just when we broke up the company, like some partners left, so some of the business left with them, so some of the employees had to leave too.
And they are doing, like I said, they have this paid leave act that's come in. I'm
so excited about that.
Talk all on its own. But again, I'll be talking about that in my group tomorrow. And
jump in your group. Jump in Jamie's group if you're going to do that. I'll also make sure that link's in there. Yeah.
Yep. And then I'll have a YouTube video as well as out there for that specifically, because there's really just no guidance. I was looking through YouTube trying to find something yesterday, and there's nothing out there on it. But that's something that can also help to hopefully not have to lay people off, is being able to get some government assistance to be able to do paid leave for people who have to take leave because they're caring for their kids or they're sick or something like that. Okay. And then the third avoid is carrying on business as usual. So I think you guys know, right? I'm not an advocate for just like, let's close our eyes and hope this goes away. Let's just, just wait it out. This is a time of action. This is a time to be doing. This is a time to get creative. This is a time to connect with your ideal customer. This is a time for all of that. This is not a time to just hold tight to the old ways of doing things, hoping it's going to go back to normal. Because I believe that even after this, even when, we're all back out in the world again, there are going to be parts of this that are going to stick, right? So like online business is only going to be more, people are going to get more comfortable with it. People are going to get more comfortable with using it. People who have not been, in this world at all are going to be entering into this world. This is and so you have to adapt to what that new world will be, and not even just adapt to it. How do you make it work for you, right? How do you actually be one of the people that benefits from that? So think about that. Like, this is scary right now, but there is a lot of opportunity that comes out of any situation like this. And I don't mean it in like a go buy a bunch of toilet paper and then sell it for $20 a roll. Not that kind of opportunity. Like, that's not good. That's not good. Again, but solving people's problems, that they like legitimate problems that they have, there's going to be so much opportunity that comes out of this. So don't just close your eyes and hope it goes away.
The blinders don't work. The ostrich and the head in the sand never works. It doesn't go away. I remember feeling like that when I was about 18, because I got into some credit card problems, by the way, that I eventually like dug myself out of at a very young age. So I learned this lesson very early on. But that was when it first started going down, I was like, oh, just don't, I don't answer the phone calls, but that doesn't make it go away. Only tackling it and dealing with it head on makes that go away. And so, and lots of hard work and sweat and tears. But I do thank you so much for being here today. I can't tell you how important this is. I think this information is so huge for people. They need to understand this and get it. And I love the way that you deliver it. Can you tell people where to find you?
Yeah. So I have a Facebook group, Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners. That's a good one to join. I have a YouTube channel. You can just search for Jamie Trull on YouTube. I only have one video, but there's more coming up. I'm trying to make topical videos throughout this. So like I said, I'm going to make one about the Leave Act and some other things that are going on right now. And we're probably going to have a stimulus here pretty soon. So I'm watching that really closely too. And I have a website, balancecfo.com, but it's in process to being updated.
So there's Roy. Thank you, Roy, for saying great job. Roy actually just started his business. So he's like, oh, I'm sure this is really fun for you right now, Roy.
I do accept, if you write me a nice little note in the admin questions for my group, I do accept men into the group as well. I know it says for women business owners, but I do have a decent amount of men in there as well. So
yeah, that's good. So you will not kick the men out. It is kind of aimed at women, but it is.
But if they're comfortable hanging out with a bunch of ladies.
We're fun too. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a good group. I love your group. It's a really friendly, welcoming. It's a great place to be. So definitely join that. I'll put a link to that as well in the show notes here, if you will. And thank you so much, Jamie, for taking time out of your busy schedule with your kids and your family and jumping in here. And if you guys have any questions, let me know and we'll make sure Jamie gets to them. Like, I'll get them to her and I will answer them for you. And really excited to have you here. So thanks, Jamie. Have a good day.
And then the survival guide, I was just going to mention, I just forgot.
Sure.
balancecfo.com/COVID-19. No dash.
Right. And I did put it in the show note. I did put it in the comments. I keep calling them show notes. I have a podcast, you can tell. Like I put it in the show notes. I did dump the link in the comments, but definitely go and pick that up, because this thing, guys, this is gold. Really.
Thank you.
Somebody would charge you a lot of money to give you this advice. So
thank you.
And Jamie gave it to us for free. So definitely go over there and pick that up. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Audience. Bye, guys.
Bye.